Welcome, welcome, welcome to episode 3 of How to Color. I am the Jedi Colorist. Today, we are going to learn how I render. This is the piece that we flatted in the previous previous episode. As you can see, I've done a few extra things. I added some sky to the top and the moon, and added some stuff for the windows and this banister here. I don't think it's meant to be glass, but I like it, and my art director hasn't said anything about it, so I'm going to assume it's all good. So let's get right into it. How do I prepare my line art for rendering? Well, for this particular one, I'm going to be using a airbrush and lasso technique. So normally when I render, we'll get on the flats layer here, I will normally just go color, choose the color I want, make a layer on top, and render. That's normally the way I do it until I get most of the rendering done, and then I will start doing what I call as a paint over, or I'll start adding detail over top of the lines. But today we're not going to do that. Today we're going to do another way of doing it. We are going to do a color select, only this time we're going to choose lasso, and we're going to right click on the selected area, and we're going to say copy layer via copy. Now this makes a copy on top of the flats of the color I choose. And then what I do is I go up here and I put a lock on the color. Now what this allows me to do is I can make a selection, and then I can color on that selection. My brushes I usually leave about 25 to 30, and I have my airbrush on just for future reference. So we'll get right in here. I'm having an issue with my Cintiq today. It doesn't want to be nice, so this may be a bit rough. So normally when I start off a piece like this, I will copy my color layer over, and then what I will do is I will take a darker color, and anywhere where I know it's going to be dark, I will go over. This adds a little bit of depth to the colors when I start to lasso. So let's start with her head. So I'm going to make a selection here. Now remember, where you're selecting, you're not going to affect the line art, and you're not going to affect any other colors than what that layer was copied to. So we'll go up here. We're going to go with a little lighter color. This part of it is all personal preference. How this will look depends on how you are with light and that sort of thing. You just basically use the line art as your guide, and as you can see, I'm very loose. I don't put a lot of pressure on the pen. And I'm using, remember how I said how I did the dark? You can see now that because I did a darker layer, like I airbrushed a little bit of dark, you can see now where in here where it looks as if she's got a fold, right? Oh, there, my thing's working now. Sweet. Okay, so we're going to do this again. And if you want to do multiple selections, you hold your shift down, and you just follow your line art. I mean, that's what your the line art's for. It's a guide. You want to do this to sort of simulate the folds, and then I don't want this video to be really, really big because I have a really crappy internet, and a video anywhere over, I don't know, 5 or so minutes, it takes so long to upload. I live out in the country, so it's hard to be very gentle, you know. And then what you're going to want to do is, once you have your basic layer down, then you start adding on it. You layer it, and that's where the lasso and airbrush technique looks so nice on sequentials, because it gives the illusion of 3D layers without really going heavily into rendering. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back over these layers with a lighter color, a little bit lighter, not too much lighter. And then, as you can see, it adds this really nice comic book layered look. And this is a very popular type of coloring. A lot of the ongoing books right now have this sort of coloring. This is the very popular style right now. So you just go over. You got to keep in mind your shapes, right? Like this is her leg is a cylinder. So I want to keep the illusion that this has got ripples in it. So you go around like that. A little bit here, and then you just lightly go over. See? Look at that. It just has a whole amazing look to it. Now once I get my lights and layers to the way I like it, one thing that I do is I go back and then I reinforce my darker areas. Like for instance, this part right here, I would go in here and I would choose the color that's there right now, and then I would go a little darker. And then you just go around and you reinforce all the dark areas, because this is going to make your layers that you just got done coloring, it's going to make them pop. These folds, I mean, you want to into the arm here. And again, this is all, you got to know basically how light falls for this part to make sense. Now, I haven't really gotten into any of the highlights or anything, but there's a moon up here, right? That moon is shining light towards the side. So as you can see, because she's wearing a leather or rubber suit as her costume, it's going to reflect light a lot easier. Now there isn't any really other secondary light sources in this piece, so if there was, then I would probably be adding secondary light sources of a different color to vary the color in the piece. And when I get into my pinups or my my splash pages, stuff where the color really, where you can really go nuts with the coloring and the rendering, I like to vary my color. In other words, I like to take environmental colors and blend them into my primary colors to make it feel as if that person, whether it's Wonder Woman, Superman, Hulk, whoever, feel like they belong in that environment. And that's the mistake a lot of new colorists make. They don't make that subject feel as if they belong in that environment that they've been drawn in. So, I mean, varying your color, it's very important. So I will just continue on here. Like, see this part here, this is going to be the shadow of her leg, so you can go heavy on the and then under here. It just adds, it forces your eye, right? And that's just one color. Now later on as I go through, I will add highlights, and I will probably do some color holds on a little bit of her her costume, like in here. I would probably do a color hold on that line right there. But that's basically airbrush. It's not very complicated. It's trial and error. You have to really feel it. It's, you know, what looks good to you. I mean, personally, I see comics, people doing coloring comics. No offense to anybody, but it's hard to look at it because sometimes it's everything is just so off. And you know, and it's new. That's, like I said, that's something that new colorists, that practice makes perfect. I mean, it's like I've always said, there is no wax on, wax off to coloring. You learn by doing it. And the best way to do it is practice. So there you go. You get an idea of how that looks. Now, talking about the moon, what I will do is I will make another layer, and I will usually put this on top of everything. And I call this my extras layer. This is where I will, for instance, I will sample this color and then I will go a little bit darker. And I will just go through and add little reflections where I know the moon would hit, like that. And then I'll normally take a smear, and I will smear it out so that it looks a little bit more natural, like that. See? And remember, you gotta follow your line art. Like, I mean, her arm, she's got a bicep, you know, so you gotta follow that. You gotta make that, you gotta make this bicep so that it's there, right? Because it's round. I mean, this leg here, you have to make, you gotta make this leg appear round, right? There you go. So for the rest of the video, I'll turn the mic off and I'll just I'll render this page, probably right to completion. This will be a longer time lapse, but it gives you an idea of the process and how I do it. I have to admit, the weakest part of my coloring is backgrounds. I'm still something I struggle with. I'm practicing. I'm looking for pieces right now that have lots of background in them so that I can practice my backgrounds. So, I mean, it's every artist has a weak spot and they have to work on it. It's like with everybody has their left arm doesn't, well, for the most part, everybody's left arm doesn't work as good as their right. So when you're drumming, for instance, I'm a little bit of a drummer. My left hand, I struggle to keep up my rudiments with my right hand because, well, just naturally my left doesn't work as good as my right. So same with coloring. So that'll do it for now. I just wanted to say an extra special thank you to the people that have subbed to the channel and that are liking and viewing my videos. I hit 200 views today, and I'm over the moon. I'm just so happy to be helping people color, and to be inspiring people. Um, there's just so much I'm going to be putting on the channel, and I just hope that you guys stick around for it, because I got some really, really cool stuff coming up. I can't think of anything else I wanted to say, so I will sign off here. And as always, the hue be with you, and enjoy the video.